Welcome to the Inspired Action Podcast. This is where we have motivational, inspiring conversations and interviews that we hope you'll enjoy listening to.
Join us and other inspired actioneers on this alchemical, transformational journey.
Welcome back to the Inspired Action Podcast. My name is Jay, and this is Pod 139, and we're back today to talk about the 13 ghost points, and I have my co-host with me here in the world headquarters of the Inspired Action Podcast, Lita Herman. Come on down.
Welcome back, Inspired Actioneers. Jay, we've been on this wild journey for Season 8 through the ancient healing themes of the 13 ghost points, and today we're wrapping it up.
Woohoo!
I hope it's been interesting for all the listeners to engage with their own quote-unquote ghosts.
Yes, those skeletons in your closets, whether they're past trauma or events or the things that haunt you. You know, we're hoping that you're going to work through it and work on that and go deeper on your own self-cultivation and maybe help you be your own true, authentic self through the 13 ghost points.
Yeah. And as we wrap this up, we're going to be doing the two deepest themes of all, the last 2 points, your ability to be in charge of your own life, both in terms of what guides you to walk your particular destiny, what we call the official of you, ghost official. And the other one is your actual higher self, your access to your own spirit self, what we call ghost seal, meaning the insignia that represents the true essence of you.
Of course, we save the tough ones for last, right?
Yeah.
And just to remind everyone who's listening, we are approaching these themes as a self-cultivation opportunity. You know, we also wrote a book on it, and it's through the self-cultivation that you can take these themes and work on them yourself. The series goes along with the book. And Lita, what's the book called? What's the title of the new book?
Cultivating the 13 Ghost Points.
Spoiler alert, right? Cultivating, self-cultivation. That's the way that we look at it. It's a great way to really start to think about some of the things that we're talking about in this podcast. And we're just examining these themes without getting too technical into the points. And the book, for the practitioners out there who are listening, is, you know, it was written to help you take a deeper dive into these ghost point treatments that are done clinically. So, but we always say yourself first. So we really wanted to have everyone start to think about themselves and, you know, working on yourself before you can help others.
So, and if you're not on our notification list and you want to find out more about the book, you can go to alchemylearningcenter.com and sign up for our book launch mailing list, and we'll keep you informed here on the podcast as well. And we'll be having a book launch party sometime in March, so stay tuned.
Or April.
April.
March or April. We have a lot going on. We'll see. We're going to try to squeak it in if you're listening in real time or you're time traveling to 2025. We will keep you updated as that when we're going to have that event.
And we're also planning another live event at the end of March, March 31st. We're going to do a webinar, a live event on alchemy stone medicine.
Wow. Let's just get stoned, right?
Yeah,
come get stoned with us in March. So yes, come get stoned with us in March. And we're going to talk about stone medicine. It is the oldest modality of Chinese medicine. And it's been argued by the sages of old, the old immortals, that it is the most powerful and permanent of the healing modalities of all of them.
Yeah.
So I've been fascinated with stone since I was a wee little one. And now that I'm not, we're just kind of doing this since I'm all grown up.
Yes.
Sort of. Sometimes.
Maybe.
Yeah, I love stones. I love all about it. And I love to talk about it with people. I don't know if anyone is listening and knows me in person, I always love to talk about stones. So we're going to finally bring it into the Learning Center just a little bit.
Yeah.
And then we also have an 8-week stone medicine program coming. And we're going to be doing this webinar with one of our MAP students, Lita. Who's it going to be? Who's the lucky mapper?
Mikael Oscarsson is helping us.
And he's a total stone nerd like me. So we're going to have a good old time. We're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about how you can, start to get a connection and a relationship with stones and how to tap into the vibration. It really is vibrational healing. And we're also going to be doing an 8-session program of stone medicine that's going to be over 3 months. And that's going to be starting in May, I believe.
Yes.
So we'll have some information on that too, where you can sign up and see if you're interested. But come to the webinar, see if you dig it. And we're going to be talking about a lot of cool stuff.
Yeah, it's going to be super cool. And I just really like that, Master Jeffrey Yuen, who I've been studying with now for over 20 years, he's really helped resurrect this idea of stone medicine, healing, and bringing it into modern day life. And I just love Jay, how you're bringing this in ways that we can really utilize them in our day-to-day lives.
Sure, you can use it as a talisman, like as a reminder. You can, like with a mala or a bracelet or an anklet or a ring with the stones or earrings even. Or you can do, grids around your house or in your office or in your treatment room. You can also, learn some elixirs. I know a lot of people get kind of scared of them. We're going to teach you how to think about it from a way that Jeffrey teaches that's very safe and easy to understand. All of this. And plus, we're going to, bring in some other things that I love to talk about from other healers as well. So we're going to have some really good things that we can talk about with stone medicine.
Yeah. There we go. So let's get back to these 2 ghost point themes.
Yes.
Let's start with ghost official, which is the part of you that's in charge of your destiny, or we'd say your will. And we have to think about how we need to be in charge of our own destiny. It's really important. But sometimes in life, we feel controlled by others or by other situations in our lives. And in other words, we can feel oppressed, where we think someone or something else is controlling us.
Or if you've been oppressed in the past, we can still be in that mode, even if the oppressor is gone. That's a big thing. We have to kind of get into that trauma and see where
why it's still there.
Still in there, yeah.
So this is about freedom to fulfill your own will, to walk your own destiny in life. And it's about what you think it might be thwarting you. And it's not just obstacles, like we all have obstacles. It's the feeling like you're not in control of your own destiny.
Well, and I think this is where people's will can feel blocked. They might not even know what it is until they start to, self-examine and really look at these things. I think sometimes people feel like their will is totally blocked.
Yeah. And they may, want to move forward, but it's like their feet are tied. And we do call that a will block, which we talked about earlier in pod 134 when we talked about Ghost Road. And this point is a little bit like Ghost Road, but even deeper than that. It's when you actually feel oppressed. And it doesn't matter what's oppressing you, it's the feeling that you can't control your own life the way you want to.
Yeah, so if you're really, starting to think about this, the question is, what rules are you living by in your own life? Your own rules or somebody else's rules? And that's just a question. It sounds simple, but when you start to really think about it,
It's big for everyone, and it really doesn't matter if you've had trauma or not in the past. This is a question we should all be asking ourselves. Are you living by your own rules? What rules do you want to live by?
All right, I'm going to throw in some early homework here.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's about asking yourself. So you have to be the watcher, you have to be the observer, you have to have a conversation with yourself in a quiet place. What rules, you can ask yourself, what rules do you really want to live by, and how do you want to live your life?
Yeah. Then the question to ask yourself as a follow-up is, how can you begin to live by those rules if you aren't already?
Yeah, that's the homework. It's not like woohoo. It's kind of like, okay, woohoo. Let's really think about this.
Right.
And maybe it's not as bad as you think, or maybe it's a little more oppressive than you think. So that's just a little bit of your homework, and that just goes with the first point of the last point of this series of the podcast on the 13 Ghost Points.
Yes, and the next one is called Ghost Seal. And Ghost Seal, it represents that image or that seal they used to use, like with wax on an envelope. When you close up the envelope, they would stamp onto it an insignia that represented the author of the letter. It was the true, authentic person's
You might have
stamp.
to Google that if you're young.
Yeah,
You
really.
don't know what that wax
What's
is.
a letter, you mean?
A letter? What's a wax stamp? What?
In Chinese, they call it a chop. And it was a little stamp, and you'd put the wax on the letter, and then you would stick that insignia in it. And that meant nobody had, opened the letter.
Tampered with it.
It also said, hey, this letter's from me. This is
it was kind of like
truth.
old school verification.
Yeah.
No one had read it because it was intact.
That's it. It's verification. Yeah, it's definitely. So this image, this insignia, it represents you. And this point, this theme, it's about the deepest part of you that is pre this lifetime. It's your core identity.
Yeah, and so it's the true essence of you.
Yeah. So you could really think about this. You could imagine that you were back in your mother's womb before you had a human being identity, before anyone had even seen you. You were this being, a spirit, a person. It was the true essence of who you were. So if you wanted to do this almost like homework.
Who was that person?
Right. Who was that person?
Who was that true essence of you?
Right. You could have a deep contemplation of who you were before you were a daughter or a son or a friend or a husband, a wife, a worker, a parent, a lover.
A baker, a candlestick maker.
Yes. Before you were
Does
any
anyone
of those.
still make candlesticks? Hey, they need it for the wax for the seal.
Yeah, there you go.
So there is a candlestick maker.
Who is that person? That's a huge question. And it really isn't about your present day life. Most of the time when people ask you about you, you might answer with some of those titles like, I'm a daughter, I'm a parent, I'm a worker, I'm a candlestick maker, but, and maybe they even asked you, what do you do for a living? So you respond, and that's how they identify you. So this idea of identification, it goes beyond all those things. When we're talking about the true essence of you, it's a really deep question.
Yeah, and you can try to think of this as a way to return to yourself, to the core essence.
Yeah.
So if somewhere in your lifetime you got off track or oppressed or trauma or drama or something, this is a way that we can get back to the essence of who we truly are.
Yeah. And remember, it has nothing to do with all the details of your life, all
Right.
those things that, people want to ask you about. That's how they want to identify you.
Yeah, we want to go to the deeper.
Yeah.
That's why we save the best for last, right? The most challenging one.
Yeah. So that wraps up the theme of the 13 ghost points. It's an exploration in all the ways you might not be your best authentic you in the world.
And you can return to the core essence of who you truly are.
Yes.
Like this can be done.
Yes. Because the idea here is the rest of us all want you to be you. You came with a purpose, and ideally you would be able to fulfill that purpose. And often your fulfillment of who you truly are benefits all the other beings around you. And that's the fundamental theory in Chinese philosophy. There's this poem that says, when all beings are at your disposal, we speak of knowing how. And that means we all kind of have to show up for each other and be our most authentic selves. And we each have a role to play in each other's missions. And that's what the ghost points are about. It's about clearing the hauntings of the past so that you can be free to complete that mission, your purpose, your intent, whatever you came in to do or to be, so that someday when your life is ending, when you're wrapping things up, you can have a feeling of completion.
Yeah, the idea that you have no unfinished business.
Yes. Okay. So how's that for an ending here?
Right. No unfinished business. Or you can come back and do it again.
Yeah, we have no unfinished business, but that's true. We could come back, and we probably will come back with another topic. But
I meant in the lifetime.
But to wrap up your life with no unfinished business, that is such a freedom. Such a way to leave this wonderful life and planet that you've experienced is to feel complete.
With a connection to the divine.
Yes.
Right? Whatever you call your divine.
Yes.
Yeah. I think that's it. That's a great place to end. It's a beautiful place to end for your self-cultivation and 13 ghost points. We hope this helped.
And I just wanted to remind everyone, you can go to alchemylearningcenter.com and you can sign up for more information about the book, Cultivating the 13 Ghost Points. If you want to learn more, it's coming out soon.
Yeah. And also, if you liked any moment of any of these podcasts, please rate and review on Apple, Google, wherever you listen to podcasts. We don't care. We just want to, find a way to connect with more people, and your opinion and thoughts matter. So if you like it, let other people know. All right. That's it.
Thank you.
Take care.
Okay. Bye.
You've been listening to the Inspired Action Podcast, and you've reached the end. Woohoo! why not celebrate a little bit and click that subscribe button right there. We love having you with us on this journey, and we want it to continue.
You can also rate and review this podcast. And if you have already, thank you so much. We read all reviews, and your reviews help other people find this podcast as well. You can also be a part of this podcast yourself by submitting a voice recording message and emailing it to us at Lita@inspiredactionpodcast.com or Jay@inspiredactionpodcast.com.
And if you want, you can join our Facebook group or follow us on Instagram.
Join us next week for another Inspired Action conversation. And thank you for listening.
Thanks for listening, and remember to hug the dog.